Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another Tech Talk Barbecue. We're celebrating a year of Tech Talk Barbecue this month. It's pretty amazing how far we've come in a year. I think my first briskets were, now that I look back on them, the equivalent to tire rubber, but now I'm making some good ones. And today we're talking about the prep for our brisket, because we're about a day and a half away from our cook. So this here is the brisket we're using today. This here is about 5 pounds. And this is the flat cut of a brisket. A brisket is made of two different cuts. There's the flat and the point. And if you're gonna differentiate, you wanna go with that flat cut. Now normally, if you're doing the flat, you'll get between 5 and 7 pounds of that cut. If you're gonna do a big brisket, where it's a combination of both, then you can go really big with the flat and point. But I like the flat. I think the flat's fun to cook with. It can be a little challenging because it's not as fatty as the point. It's more muscle and connective tissue. But when you nail the flat, it's pretty amazing. It's a beautiful thing. So we're gonna hit with the rub today. And this is my old homemade rub, which most of you have seen before. This is a fresh ground pepper that I just grind in a coffee grinder. Good kosher salt and Spanish smoked paprika, which is a little bittersweet. And I'm not gonna lie, I really love the way the last one came out with that rub. So this rub I think is gonna be my standard. I do about a cup of the salt, a cup of the pepper, and then a third of the cup of that paprika. So I'm gonna hit that in a second, but let's talk about the wood first here. This here is hickory. I'm a big fan of using hickory, and I've gone through and made sure that the chunks I'm using are good and healthy, right? That there's no holes in them, they're not crumbling into dust. It's all good wood. And this here I'm going to soak in water until about 6 hours prior to our cook, because you wanna make sure that there's some moisture in that, because your smoke is gonna come from not just the wood, but the moisture in it. Now you wanna drain it prior and let it dry out a little bit, because you don't want it to smoke too much with that water, because it'll bitter your bark. Alrighty, let's hit this bad boy with the rub. Now I like to go a little crazy with rub, alright? I know some folks, especially that Austin method, they're strict in just using salt and pepper. I'm a fan of the smoked paprika, and I'm a fan of using it liberally because I think it's beautiful. Alrighty, that's one side there. Now let's flip her over, and you're gonna see that fat side here, right with our butcher symbol. Let me cut it. Now this is very important because you're using the flat. I don't like to shave this off. When I order the brisket, I ask for a 1/4 inch trim already, but I like to keep that fat, and I will cook it fat size up in the smoker so that goes through our meat and really adds a whole lot of juice and moisture to it. Alrighty, now we're gonna get the sides of this bad boy here. And don't worry about the rub that falls off. This is gonna be sitting in the fridge, as I said, for about a day and a half, getting happy with the rub. And you want that, because the rub is important. Now our egg is already cleaned and ready to go. And a lucky attendee is gonna be winning a Mini Max green egg for just hanging out with me and learning how to smoke. And we're also gonna talk, I think, bourbon later on too. And I'm gonna throw in another segment as well. That's gonna be kind of a fun beer to drink while you're barbecuing. Because let's be honest, who doesn't want to have a few beers while they're actually smoking? Let's just hit the sides a little bit. I already got that one. Alrighty. She is good to go. Folks, I'll see you in a day and a half.